Rosh Hashanah Daf Chav Zayin, how's everybody doing? If you take gold and you cover your shofar with gold, where you place your mouth, the shofar is pasul. But slightly above where your mouth is, then the shofar is kosher. And that's exactly what they did in the Beis Hamikdash for the Rosh Hashanah shofar, for Kavod Yontif. But for the tainas, they would cover it not in gold, but rather in silver, because when you gather people, you gather them with silver. The Torah is concerned about Klal Yisrael's money. It doesn't just want to spend Klal Yisrael's money, so it rather use silver than gold. Yovel, every 50 years we have Yovel, and the Yom Kippur of Yovel is equal to Rosh Hashanah for Tefillah. In other words, the musaf of that particular Yovel has the same amount of brachas. Besides what we say, Zeh hayom tchilas ma'asecha zikaron leyom rishon, which is referring to, this is the day that Adam Rishon was born, according to Rabbi Eliezer, that happened on Rosh Hashanah. That cannot apply 10 days later on Yom Kippur, so we remove that. B'derech klal, usually we say, Trei kali lo mishtami. If you're supposed to hear something and two people or two sounds are coming out at the same time, you can't hear either of them physically. However, if it's beloved to you, like the sound of a shofar, Megillah, and Hallel, so even if you have 10 people saying it or blowing shofars, you could pick that sound out. Says the Mishnah, these are following shofars are pasul. If a shofar is cracked down the length of it, or if you take two separate shofars and you glue them together, which I did in shear, I glued two shofars together and I was able to blow it beautifully. Or if you add a little bit to the shofar from shofar material, let's say you have a hole and you plug it up, pasul. Reb Nosson says it's kosher if the fix doesn't change the sound for the better, and you have most of the shofar intact, and the fix is done with shofar material, then it's kosher. Another lashon in Reb Nosson is that you cannot change the sound. That's a constant. But whether or not it has to be minoi or rubai, you can pick one or the two. If you cover the shofar with gold on the outside or even in the inside, and that changes the sound of the shofar, pasul. If you flip the shofar inside out, in other words, you take the wide part of the shofar and you narrow it down, or you take the narrow part where you typically blow from it and you widen it out, pasul, because the Torah says v'havarta, it should be the way it grows. Narrow stays narrow, the wide part stays wide. The following shofars are kosher. If a shofar is split on its width, in other words, you crack a shofar in half, and you could grab the shofar, you could see the shofar sticking out on both sides of the hand. It doesn't look as if you're blowing into it according to the Rosh, but at the very least it has a shear, then it's kosher. If you peel off the inside or the outside, you make it very thin, kosher. If you drill in the zchus, in other words, it has a bony inside material and you drill it through it and you blow, even though it's the same min b'minoi lechaitzet, and it's kosher. If you place a shofar with inside another shofar, and you hear the inside shofar, and every single sound of a shofar is kosher for shofar, whether it's a thin sound, a very thick, rough, they're all kosher. If you blow a shofar into a pit, so the person standing in the pit, he's yaitze because he hears the original sound of the shofar. If you're standing outside of the pit, well, it depends. If you hear the shofar, the original sound, yaitze. But if you hear the echo, even if it's part of the original sound, but you hear the echo as well, you're not yaitze. Rabbah says that if you blow into a pit, and as you're blowing, the guy comes out, so the guy blowing, he's blowing and he's yaitze when he's in the pit, and as he comes out, he's yaitze because he's outside of the pit, kosher. And I'm not choishesh that perhaps his ears and the shofar came out at different times and he shouldn't be yaitze. He's yaitze. Have a wonderful day.